you gentle cuties, Mark Goon here. Today I'm going to talk about age. More specifically, I'm going to talk about how I'm too damn old to be a rapper.
We on the highway crawling, doing 41. The traffic got us honking, we don't know the song. The 4 p.m. buffet, our trays is loaded up. I know I love you even when we old as fuck.
When I moved to LA a few years back, I had this sense my time as an artist was like an hourglass and almost all of the sand had already trickled to the bottom. I was getting close to 30, and in music, particularly in rap, most people who experience commercial success find it at a young age. Every person I met on the business side of music would ask me, "How old are you?" within the first 3 minutes of meeting, and by "How old are you?" they meant, "How much time do you have left to potentially make me large sums of money?" Let me explain. Let's say you're a 17-year-old playing basketball professionally in Europe and you're averaging 20 points a game. Every single team in the NBA is going to be kicking down the door to draft you with their top pick. Well, except for maybe the Suns and the Kings. Now, let's say same situation except you're 34, averaging 20 points a game in Europe. In this case, not a single NBA team gives a shit. Music and basketball share some similarities here. In sports, we reach our peak athletically sometime between 22 to 28 years old, and Father Time steals a bit of athleticism every year thereafter until athletes are no longer capable of competing with the best in the world. But in music, it's not like you forget how to write a song after you turn 35. If anything, a whole lifetime of honing your craft and having lived would make you better. I think a lot of artists and writers are capable of creating their best stuff in their 50s or 60s or 70s or whatever. Where age matters in music is when you start to take into account money. Why? 2 reasons. 1, most people cement their musical tastes when they're young. They're listening to what they loved when they were 17 and had their first heartbreak, or that album that was the soundtrack to their life, their freshman year of college. Reason number 2, people listen to artists whose message they can connect with. Just like you're not going to find a bunch of 36-year-olds who grew up on 90s hip-hop listening to Ian Dior or The Kid Laroi, you're also not going to find a bunch of 16-year-old TikTok kids listening to Talib Kweli. So if most people under 20 are listening to artists close to their age, and most people over 30 are listening to artists they fell in love with when they were under 20, what does that say about the commercial viability of, say, a 33-year-old rapper who has yet to build a large fan base? So I became extremely conscious about my age. When people in the music business would ask how old I was, I'd just respond, 42. They'd laugh and say, no, really, how old are you? 42. If you Google Mark Goon's age, I think the first website that pops up says I'm a little-ass child. Deep down, there was this innate sense that the clock was ticking, that the hourglass was almost out, that if shit didn't happen extremely soon, I'd have to get a real job, and I'd forever be a failure. It paralyzed me. I began to put these crazy time constraints on myself, like, I'll move to LA for a year, and if music doesn't work out, at least I know I tried. But it never occurred to me to ask myself what music working out actually meant. Was it being able to rely on it as a primary source of income, or was it being able to afford a Ferrari F40? Was it having a song that charted, or was it getting a critically acclaimed write-up from Rolling Stone or Pitchfork? Was it a sense of fulfillment from continually getting better, or was it respect from my peers? What defined music working out for me? I never stopped to figure it out. I had constantly shifting goalposts of what success meant for me as an artist. Consequently, music started to become the last thing in the world that I wanted to do. I set myself up to fail because I couldn't define success. It's taken me a few years, but I've fallen back in love with the process. There's nothing quite like the endorphin high I get from finishing a song. Now, actually sitting down and making a song, most of the time it's like being extremely constipated, but pushing through it and finishing a song I like, there's literally no better feeling in the world. And that feeling that creating gives me, I'd realize I'd be an idiot if I just punted on music and gave up on that. I'm happy when I'm making shit. I'm depressed when I'm not. It's really as simple as that. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have goals beyond just finish a song because it feels good. I'd be elated if the music was commercially successful. I'd love if it connected, knowing my message resonated enough to impact people's lives. But the most important thing is I've set goals, both on a macro and micro level. And for the first time, I've actually defined what success would mean to me. Today, that little voice in my head is still there, and it's still chirping. Maybe you missed your window. Maybe it's too late. Maybe you're too old. But instead of pushing that little voice to the side and ignoring it, I've learned to confront it head on. Every time I've taken a step back from music in my life, I've had this overwhelming feeling in my gut that I was sprinting down the wrong path, that I was wasting precious time when I already knew what I was supposed to be doing. I've come around to the idea that people have a thing, or maybe multiple things, that they're supposed to be doing in their life. And when they repress that feeling and don't do those things, they end up pretty damn unhappy. For me, that thing is writing, creating, and making music. And as long as it keeps giving me that feeling, I'll be happy knowing I'm on the right path, even if I am too damn old to be a rapper. Thank you guys for watching, and have a gentle day.
We on the highway crawling, doing 41. The traffic got us honking, we don't know the zone. The 4 p.m. buffet, our trays is loaded up. I know I love you even when we old as fuck. Blue hair and wrinkled skin, yet you still beautiful. You dressed me in Luke Vicious at my funeral.